The Matildas are on their way to America to compete in the She Believes Cup. They're playing 3 games against Japan, of which the game is on Friday morning, Australian time, and then the US and Colombia as well. Of course, the Matildas still in this state, not knowing who their coach will be heading into the home Asian Cup, of course, being played in here in Australia in 2026. Tom Samani is still at the helm, but for how much longer, we do not know. It's going to be an interesting tournament, 3 competitive games for the Matildas to continue their development as they build towards that tournament. And in this clip from the Dubcast, which is our women's specific football podcast, Poletti and Burke preview the tournament. Have a listen.
And that will bring us nicely to our preview for the She Believes Cup. So, sort of touched on this with Alex a little bit, Burke. I can see the Matildas getting 4 points from a possible 9 here. But I don't know where these points are going to come from. Like, you could give me any sort of permutations of results here and I'd be like, yeah, I believe that's going to happen. Yeah. Like, Japan are a strong side, the USA are a strong side, who seemingly went through their 6 months of turmoil, prior to the Olympics, and then Emma Hayes arrives and all of a sudden everything's fixed and they're back to dominating football again.
That just wasn't fair. I'm sorry. But you should have to suffer, through growing pains with a new coach. You shouldn't just come back and be winning. Sorry to sidetrack, but it just wasn't fair. I hate it.
No, I hate it as well. That's not fair. The Americans should be made to suffer through a rebuild. And then you've got Colombia, who, Maya Ramirez, Linda Caicedo, just, a nation on the rise. I mean, this is... in terms of, these are all very, very good sides. And so it's sort of like, I guess, from your perspective, how do the Matildas find a way to beat each of these opponents throughout this group?
Honestly, I don't know. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Thank God I am not the coach, because that job would suck. It's not to say that we can't do it. We can beat all of these sides. Have we played Colombia before and beaten them? Maybe.
That is a very good question and feels like something I should know.
Regardless, we can beat anyone on our day. I think we just have to have 3 days that are our days. And hope that they're also not having their days. I would be very happy with drawing all of these teams. And I know it's not in the spirit of the cup, but it's also a fake tournament, Mickey Mouse Cup, that I don't care about. So if we can, honestly, if the Matildas can go out there and get some good football played and get some good minutes in, and work on building the connections that they need to make on the pitch, and no one gets grievously injured, fingers crossed, knock on wood, inshallah, said the obole, etc., etc. I will be happy with that. I do not care about the She Believes trophy. They can have that. I mean, they're going to the trouble of making it. The US can have it. I don't care. Let us have a good tournament, and preferably not get absolutely smacked by anyone. That would also be good, because I never enjoy the media cycle after a smacking. No, not the media cycle, the weird little minions on the internet. I never enjoy them after smacking.
Probably all the same people I've seen angrily reacting across social media to today's press conference at the time of recording from Ellie Carpenter. It takes us to our next listener question from Almost Clutch, also on Blue Sky. Not exactly dub related, but I'm curious what your expectations and hopes are for She Believes. So I know you sort of answered that question a little bit already, Burke, but expectations, hopes, just in terms of the sort of football you want to see played.
In my wildest hopes and dreams, we win every game and smash the US 5-0. But I just don't think we're going to do that. We can have, in my wildest hopes and dreams, we can have a conservative 1-0, 2-1 win over either Japan or Colombia, take your picks, but we smash the US 5-0. In my wildest dreams, my wildest hopes and dreams. What I'm hoping actually happens is what I said before. I just want us to play some good, consistent football with like clear passing, with a clear sort of roadmap as to how we get the ball from, a goal kick, say, to the final third without like in a good looking way that's not easily disrupted by an opposition. These are not easy things to do against most football teams, let alone the ones we're about to come up against. So we'll see how that goes. Um, but yeah, I also just hope we get to watch some good football because I feel like I haven't seen international football since last year. I don't like that. Get that international football on my screen now, please. So yeah, I would also just like to see some decent football in general, whether it's from us or someone else.
Yeah, for me, I think my expectations for this very much are good quality football. But I'm going to echo the thoughts of Anna Harrington here from the Far Post podcast. I want to see a good Matildas squad, but I don't want to see the same Matildas squad that we've always seen, throughout, where it's like, okay, you can pick the starting 11 with a blindfold on and they'll play the same way that we always do. And it's Mary Fowler floating between a 10 and a false 9 who's not really allowed the keys to the vehicle. Kyra Cooney Cross and Gorry in the midfield. Just sort of like, you can sort of tell exactly how the team's going to play, where they're going to go, why they're doing it. I want to, there's a chance here to, particularly with the short turnaround between games, a chance to really rotate the lineup here and see some combinations perhaps that we haven't seen before, or at least seen in a long time, and sort of give the new coach, whenever this magical new coach may or may not appear, to take the Matildas job away from Tom Samani, a better idea of the sort of players that he has against quality international opposition and how to use them moving around a rotated lineup, because we all remember the Tony Gustafson era, and that was 15 players, and plan B was to do plan A better, and we don't want that again. And then
Don't do it like that. Plan B was maybe it wasn't plan B, maybe it was plan C. No, it was plan B. Was Alana Kennedy to the front line. Don't 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 do her dirty like that in her striker era for all of like 4 minutes when it got really sad and desperate.
Yes, that Nigeria game sticks out like a sore thumb. But I mean, she was supposed to be there anyway. It's a corner. The tall lad always goes up to the corner. And then that's the other thing that I want to see from this is, regardless of the result, I want to see a good game against Japan on Friday morning. I think, as I touched on in the interview with Alex, it's very much this is where we need to be looking at ahead of the Asian Cup. We've had good results against the likes of the United States before, ahead of Asian Cups and other major tournaments, and then absolutely collapsed at said tournaments because, well, what do you know? We haven't faced Asian opposition. Like, I mean, that 2021 friendly series, that those two matches, also in Sydney and Newcastle, like the two South Korea games coming up that were against the USA. Or was that 2020 that those happened, the back end of 2020?
It might have been 2020.
Maybe I've got my timeline wrong. But anyway, I distinctly remember those two games. An okay first performance, a good second performance against the USA, and then at the following Asian Cup, getting absolutely destroyed by South Korea in the quarterfinals and getting knocked out. I mean, 2017 sticks out as well. Good result against the USA. Didn't do anything at the Asian Cup. Like, we've seen this story before, and so I would very much like to see a good performance here against Japan, regardless of the result. That's why I want to see good performances against South Korea in the April window, regardless of the results. I want to see how well we do against top quality Asian opposition, because what we have to remember here is, coming into the Asian Cup, this is the final time that World Cup qualification is still on the line at this tournament.
Yeah.
And even though with the expansion to 32 teams, I believe the AFC gets 8 spots. I think off the top of my head it is 6 direct to this qualifying playoff tournament, whatever that is. And so you're looking at a situation where, like, yes, Australia should qualify, but, you know, you'd rather just do it as easily as possible and try to win some silverware on home soil rather than have to go through intercontinental playoff tournament games, whatever that looks like, you know, instead of getting quality friendlies in ahead of the World Cup, which is what you'd much rather be doing in that window rather than being like, oh crap, we have to play good for 180 minutes in order to make the World Cup. That's not good. We don't want to be doing that. So that's sort of what I want to see here out of the She Believes Cup.